And welcome to Kelly's Bar for another edition of Yards After Contact. With me is Ryan Kelly, co-owner of Kelly's Bar on Mahoney Avenue in Youngstown, Ohio. Welcome, Ryan, again. And, how was your weekend this past week? Crazy weekend. Week 8 of the high school season, week 9 of the college season.
Yeah.
Or 7 and week 6 of the pro season.
It was, it was a good weekend, but yeah, it wasn't so much for my sports teams.
Start off at Ursuline?
Ursuline took the L on Thursday. Then you went to the Penguins taking the L on Saturday, which was unfortunate. I'm a Packers fan. Aaron Rodgers. That was, from that standpoint, it was rough, but it was good football to watch.
Rough week. I enjoyed the Boardman Ursuline game.
Yep.
Mike O'Hara did a great job bringing his team down. After Ursuline did a great job scoring, both quarterbacks.
And really
Fabry
pinning them
scored
deep.
40-yarder.
They flipped the field, and
He had 100 minute 8 to go,
Yep.
and they had 70-some, whatever it was, and Michael took them right down the field. O'Hara tied it. Then it looked like Ursuline was going to win it in overtime because Boardman screwed up their first possession. Then they get the fumble.
That was when I learned. I didn't know.
Yeah,
I didn't know that you couldn't advance a fumble in
high school.
In
and
overtime.
I asked the ref after the play. I was behind the goal
Yeah.
in the goal area, and he said, "High school, that's the rule. As soon as the turnover happens, it's a dead ball."
Yeah, that was confusing to me. That was one that was.
Because I think you can advance it in college. I'm not 100% sure on but in pros, I think you can too.
Yeah.
But I guess high school, at least in Ohio, you can.
Yeah.
So Boardman got another chance. They put the ball in the end zone. Again, Michael O'Hara, great job at quarterback, both running and throwing. 2 rushing touchdowns. He had the big throw in overtime for a touchdown, and that negated a great effort by the Ursuline Irish. And I got to feel for Larry Kemp and what he's trying to do over there.
Well, that was one. You and I talked a little bit earlier. That was a game where Ursuline could have easily won by 14 points. The way it was, just the way the flow of the game was, and it's just, it's credit Boardman for hanging around and credit Michael O'Hara for playing his butt off and getting them. And I mean, just look what that win does. It gets them right. I mean, they're right where they need to be for the playoffs.
Well, they can still need some work to do. With their rival, Fitch is their rival, and then they end up with Lakeside, I believe. So Boardman has a definite path. Or do you count them into the playoffs?
I
from your
think they're in.
calculations?
Yeah, from where I see it, I think they're in.
What if they get beat twice? Not that they. Let's say they beat Lakeside. That's a given, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Even though they're 4-4.
I mean,
unless they blow it. I mean, they should beat Lakeside. So it's
I would
Fitch
think
in
so, yeah.
week 9.
I think if they beat Lakeside, they're in. If they lose 2, then that's a stretch. But to me, if you lose to Lakeside, love Coach Ignacio, love them guys. You lose those last 2, you deserve to be in. You want to go in rolling a little bit, right?
At the same time, Fitch is still struggling for
a
potential life in the postseason. They got Boardman and Mooney. They could be a spoiler for both teams if you look at it and get themselves in the playoffs. So Fitch is okay.
I mean, when you're playing 2 area teams, you have connections to. I think that's
great football.
Probably not.
Local.
I think I have them out, but to play spoiler, that's always. I mean,
they win twice. They got a
yeah,
shot. I guess,
absolutely.
In their region, Division 1. Harding's out, Division 2.
Harding's out.
Boardman's got a chance in 2.
I would say Boardman's in. When you go to 3, you have Canfield in. I mean, they're probably going to be the 1 seed.
They're just going to roll over everybody.
Yeah, I would say.
Division 4, my favorite now.
4.
I saw a great ball game Friday night.
It's a stretch in 4, but potentially you could have 6 teams in. Where it stands, I mean, it's legitimate. Wow. There's a chance, but Poland's in. Girard is in. Even with a loss to Liberty, it looks like they probably still should be in, which is still crazy to even say out loud.
What are they, 5th now? And they're 8-0.
And
they don't got a lot of wiggle room there.
You have
Struthers going to lose to Lakeview.
Lakeview's probably the hottest team.
Lakeview got chance.
They have to, and Struthers got to beat Edgewood, which I assume they should, and But Salem is still alive, and Mooney's
10.
alive. But Mooney has to win.
Mooney has to win
at
both.
least,
both.
Probably both, but guaranteed
at least
one.
not giving him a ton of help.
Yeah,
it'll get him a little, but Fitch will be a big bonus for them at the end of the season. But you never know the way Mooney is: hot, cold, up, down, all year long. It seems
exactly.
Just when you think they're starting to build momentum, boom, they crash
100%.
down again. So you don't know what's going to happen there. Poland, Lakeview, what a ball game! I'm gonna venture to say Lakeview has the best offense in the entire area.
Yeah.
I mean, their quarterback, Zach Rogers, is fantastic. They throw the ball not because they have to, because it's part of their offense. Tom Pavlansky, I compare him to like Dan Reardon, from former Ursuline coach who who has a whole list of options, not just, we run the football.
Smaller level, I think he's got some connection to Urban Meyer somewhere.
Who's
in there,
Pavlansky?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, well, I'll have to ask about that. He's here with his guys, so we'll talk to them later. And John Batcho, Mr. Sports, is going to join us. Ron Potesta, our regular on Tuesdays, is up in the Cavs. Mr. Big Time Credential guy. He'll let you know about it too on the radio. I'm covering the Cavs.
I'm sure.
So good for him, but we'll catch up with him next week. I have the great opportunity. I'm going to take a minute now. I usually don't talk a lot about what's going on with myself with cancer and all you've done for me and other people, Mike Cifaldi and others. I have my shirt on today. It just, it is what it is. Things are going well, and I have a chance, probably because of cancer, to go to Alabama-Tennessee game this weekend. Ohio State's got a bye week. An old college friend who lives in Texas right now. He's flying me down there. We're going to go to the Alabama game on Saturday, and then come home. Probably Sunday night.
Now, how far is that from?
It's an 8-hour drive. But we're going to fly. I think.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm just fortunate to have great people again in my life. He just wants to do this.
That's unbelievable.
Don't worry about it. I got you. You're covered. He booked my flights. I didn't do nothing except show up at the airport on Thursday. So I'm going to check that. He says there's nothing like Alabama football. Okay. Maybe it's as good as Ohio State.
Yeah.
Might be. They'll probably beat the crap out of Tennessee.
Yeah.
But it can't be better by any stretch of the
Yeah,
imagination.
I mean, I would like to go see. I would like to go see.
Crazy. I'm sure it's going to be great.
I'd be hard pressed. I watched Notre Dame play Alabama in 2012, 13 national championship. They beat us up, but their fan base didn't. I think Ohio State's fan base is a lot more.
It's crazy. Ohio State. I mean, I don't know how to get much better. I mean, it's as good as it gets. I think.
I mean, they wear those button-up collared T-shirts, khakis. They're not high on my list.
So Division IV, what do you think is going to come out of that region? That's probably the best local region that we have. I'm Lakeview's vaulted. I was a Poland guy.
Yeah.
I'll admit it. I thought they had enough. Outside of this, not when they get out of the area, it's a different story because they're a running football team.
Absolutely.
And Costco didn't quite do it one way or another through the air.
I'll be honest.
And he was probably a more acclaimed quarterback going into just by knowing who Cole Costco is as opposed to Zach Rogers.
Now, granted, you got Steubenville in 4, and you got some of them, but to me, I watched Steubenville. They're not the Steubenville of old.
I agree.
And
they're a good team.
Going into last week, I thought if you said, every year I always give somebody from the area a chance to maybe do something special. I put my money on Poland up until last week. Could it still happen? Yeah, but at the same time,
their defense
beyond impressive.
They exposed their defense.
Yep.
Especially to the passing game, which you're going to see in the play. They got week 12 and week 7 or whatever, week 8 last week.
100%.
That's what they're going to see. So you just can't run the ball. Plus they got injured badly. I don't know if they're running back. They had 2 or 3 injuries that were pretty key people on Poland's team that went out during the game. Not that it factored into the game. Lakeview won this game on pure
flying
effort
under
and
the
talent.
radar. These guys,
unbelievable.
It's beyond impressive what they've done so far.
When they lost to Howland, I said, okay, Lakeview's just Lakeview. No big deal. Because Howland isn't that great a team. They went on. They've reeled off 7 straight wins. They're in a great position with champion. Coach Pavlansky won't say this. That's their rival, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's a victory for them. And then Struthers, and I think Struthers could hang with Lakeview at home in week 10.
No, it's
So that could knock Struthers out of the playoffs, possibly.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I think, like I said, Poland and Girard, I think, are in.
You think Girard will get in if they lose the Liberty?
I think so too.
They're 5th right now?
Yeah,
And they don't got any help. Newton Falls or something this week. I don't know.
And Liberty's still. We're skipping to 6, but Liberty's still kind of breathing. But that would
plays
be
LeBray and Liberty, so they got LeBray. And that's a lot of points. They can get some points from LeBray.
I mean, LeBray's 4-4.
Yeah,
I
they
think,
could be okay.
It's kind of a shit. To me, I think if you say who would you hurt for, I would really hurt for Chet Allen if he went 8-2 and didn't make the playoffs.
Well, they're 6-2 and
that's what I mean. So I mean,
11 or 12,
and that's a possibility.
Right
because you go down to, but you know what? Though?
I like to see. I think they're sort of for real, because Liberty didn't take them real seriously for a while.
Yeah.
But Dre Russian might be the 2.0 Lynn Bowden.
It's
if you look at it.
Well, that's gonna be a shootout. It's gonna be a high scoring game, but
you got to favor Girard in that, though.
I would say, but they're playing good football right now, and Dre Russian, he's an athlete.
He's an equalizer,
Yep,
but
100%.
You never know the way Girard quick strike with Wade at quarterback.
Yep.
I haven't seen him live except in the scrimmage this year. Right now, this Zach Rogers kid can do it all from Lakeview that I've seen. Very impressive.
He's the guy that you've spoken the most highly of. So
And Michael O'Hara, you can't. I'm not saying these are college quarterbacks or not. I don't know. We're talking good high school quarterbacks. And Michael O'Hara, what he did against Urson was impressive.
I agree. He's a tough kid. I don't think he has a ton to work with in terms of, throwing the ball and, but good receiver. I think he has solid guys, but nothing,
stepped up big on that last drive.
You have Travis Kuntz from last year. That's a big, that's a big receiver you lose.
Sure.
And it's just like, but he stayed the course. He didn't panic. It didn't look like, he ever. That's what happens when you let a team and a quarterback like that hang around. Urson learned that tough lesson.
And we talked preseason. Mark Wade's living up to his billing. Cole Costco still hasn't done a lot to impress. Not that he's a bad quarterback, but you got to step up and make some 200-yard games every once in a while. It's got to be part of. You just can't say we're going to run because that's what we do.
Yeah.
And then East Palestine, we talked about him a lot. Sherry down there. I guess they're doing okay.
I think he's kind of, underachieved to where people thought he would be
this year. He's undersized too, which doesn't give him a lot of advantage. But then you look at a senior quarterback. You look at Rogers. You look at the Salem kid, Davidson. There's a couple good South Range quarterbacks, a senior.
I think it's because guys like that, they've flown under the radar, and I think that everyone's talking about this junior class of quarterbacks. They miss a guy like a Rogers. He's a very talented kid.
He's pretty sturdy in the pocket. He throws a good ball, and Lakeview can run and throw. They had both on display at the Poland game, especially in the second half when they came back. And Poland looked like they were going to come out and run away with it.
And I don't think that's a game that I don't know if anybody gave him a chance to win that game, let alone hanging around.
I was going to see how good Poland was going to be against Lakeview, And as the game went on, the momentum changed, and then Lakeview just took over.
That's the same thing. Let a good quarterback hang around, and they're going to eventually make a play.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback.
Yep.
So 4, do you have a favorite in that region to come out of there? Can we have a regional champion in 4, or is Steubenville going to get it?
I still think Steubenville gets it just because,
If Mooney could knock them off at 8 after 8, that'd be nice.
I'll be honest with you. If Mooney, they're so hit or miss. I don't know. I haven't seen Mooney play this year, so but if there's any chance, any team that I would give them a chance to beat them, it's different. It's just that whole everything they do, their swagger.
I think Poland could beat them, just because they could probably. Seeing them play
Poland,
Boardman.
what they do is very similar to what the Catholic school from Toledo that's beat them
Central
2 years
Catholic?
in a row. It's beat Steubenville 2 years in a row. They just they scrum it up, they run the ball at them, it kind of takes away their blitzing and does those things. So Poland being big up front can give them some trouble. But here's at the same time, okay, so let's say Lakeview plays them. They struggled with. I believe Marlington took them down to the wire, Steubenville, so throwing the ball. So it's just you never know.
I think if you don't make mistakes against Steubenville, that's what happened.
Boardman
messed up.
There's
I'm
no
sure
Colaros this
too.
year. Let's look at Ursuline. There's an example. I think Ursuline was very banged up going into that game, but opening drive, Steubenville scores on 4th and 15 on a throwback. Ursuline fumbles the ensuing kickoff. They score from the 2. Ursuline fumbles the next kickoff. It's 21-0 out of nowhere. You can't beat anybody like that.
Yeah,
let alone
you
a team
can't make mistakes
against like that.
Yeah, against a Steubenville.
But
we'll have a home game in week 1, so depending on who it is. Lakeview could get some help. They could host the first round game potentially.
When you go to 5, I think just skip ahead, keep going. South Range is going to be, they're playing, I guess, to finish the year strong.
7-1. Should be a great game.
They're on the cusp of looking potentially at a AP state championship, which is it doesn't
a paper title. It doesn't mean a lot, but it looks nice on the locker room wall.
They're so they're kind of the only one we're looking at in terms of 5.
How about 6?
In 6, McDonald has a chance if they win out. They're a team that's quietly
hanging
hanging around.
This week? Is that a big game or what?
Yeah, they're both
at
playing. McDonald
West Branch,
and
Western Reserve.
They're playing for a chance. Both can get in. Western Reserve, I think, has a better angle at it.
They could get in. They can lose.
They can lose and get in.
McDonald needs to win.
McDonald's got to win out. Liberty's still
I like
in
the
the
name
ball.
Cintron. I just like that name as a running back.
Oh,
we got to get them there. Maybe next week we'll try to.
If they win their game, come on. Either way, they'll be playing for something.
Yeah.
Liberty's on the bubble, and Columbiana's still hanging around.
Columbiana's still hanging around.
They're a quiet team hanging around, and then in 7, I think JFK can go 4-6. I mean, I don't know if they're going to limp in. I haven't talked to them lately. Are they healthy? They get healthy. I don't know. I mean, I've coached at a spot where we were banged up all year, and we played a tough schedule, and then and look at them. I mean, they're a victim of their own success. They're a regional finalist the year before, state champion. It's going to be hard to schedule teams, and
you're saying you can't count them out.
If you're not, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sitting here saying I know, but to me, just get to week 11. That's the goal, And
do we have a state champion this year at all?
I don't know. I mean, it's just you look at Division III with Canfield. There's a lot of good schools in Division III.
Yeah, it's a tough division.
And you got to get through St. V's. D4. To be honest with you, what I saw from Steubenville, I think there's a couple of those teams locally that could beat them. Now, like if you look at I'll give you like a Girard for example.
Yeah.
I think Girard would struggle with them.
They would have to hold serve every time.
I mean, they haven't been there.
They'd have to score every time. They could do it.
But for the future of Girard, look at if you took gradual steps, no playoffs for 2 years. Now get in the playoffs this year, and then you have a senior quarterback coming back, and then maybe
Now this week after week 8, they were going to play Poland and I saw that in the scrimmage early in the year, and that didn't look good for Girard. So hopefully they'll improve if they end up with Poland. I don't know how that's going to end up for sure, but they took a whipping when they played Poland in a scrimmage. Mainly on the ground. Mm-hmm. And that's Poland's Achilles heel, I think. They got to be able to throw. That's why Lakeview's I think they're in a real good position to do some things.
And like I said, you just
don't know how far.
Throw the ball, and Coach Pavlansky's a great coach, and
if you win a regional championship, including Steubenville, that gives you a chance to get to the finals.
100%.
I mean, you win one more game, you're in the finals, and you never know. You might play Smithville or somewhere like that.
When I was at Ursuline, our toughest games were always our regional championship, and the semis were just, now the last year I coached there, we played Steubenville in the semis, who that was one of the better Steubenville teams we ever played. But
so we're looking forward to week 9, so it'll be pretty.
I think there's
important.
A Holy War game or something. I think we talked for 10 minutes and didn't talk about the Holy War.
Last year we had an Ursuline Mooney in here. It don't have the same appeal this year, but it's still the rivalry.
It's still the
Holy
same
War.
thing.
I understand.
It's still
on that field. It's important.
It still has it.
And there's still Mooney's playoff life's in the balance. So Mooney has to win. Ursuline's out. They're done. Put a fork in them, right?
Yeah, I mean it'd be extremely long shot. And,
does your guy have Ursuline anywhere near anything?
He doesn't have them eliminated yet, but it's they got to win out.
Mathematically,
yeah, they got to win out
and hope for other
get help.
Things to happen.
But they got East is one of their wins.
We talked about, especially with Potesta, about the Week 10 rivalry between Poland and Canfield. That's life is numbered here after this season. Because they can't play a Week 10, whatever. If that's the real reason, I don't know. But there's some good rivalry games in Week 9 too. So it's not just Week
100%.
10. You got Boardman Fitch is another good rivalry, and according to Lakeview Champions, their rival.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's little rivalry games.
Yeah.
I don't know if McDonald and Western Reserve is a rivalry. We'll ask John Batcho when he gets up here. But that's a big game against some neighboring schools there that probably beat up on each other on a regular basis. And
it's just, to me, you look at it like. Play these local teams, man. Play each other.
I agree.
Keep those things going. To me, even Boardman at 2, Canfield beat them last year. It's just like Coach Ignazio. I'll tell him till he blew in the face, man. You beat Ursuline 2 years in a row now. You beat Mooney. You beat them last year, lost this year, but keep playing these teams. Keep playing, and you got good. You got ways to get prepared for the playoffs, and there's games you could win too. It's not just like it's not the past where the team might be loaded. There's good. Ursuline does not have a Dre Rushton on their team. They don't have.
Joe Floyd's not bad.
He's
not bad.
He's probably your closest guy, but I mean those are good players. In a lot of them schools. So I mean, but
we'll get more at the last segment, maybe Week 9. But switch gears real quick. YSU, my gosh. I had 2 TVs going.
That was a
YSU and Ohio
I was
State,
at the
obviously.
game. It was a heartbreaker. But I think I rarely do agree with Ron Potesta, but he said it perfectly.
No.
He said it perfectly last week. I think it would be like the YSU stretch of games they've played. It would be like Ohio State playing Alabama, Clemson, like Washington, for their level. And it's a hard game, and it's just that, and with a backup quarterback. But to think how close they were, but this week
Nathan Mays is almost. He don't feel like a backup quarterback, does he?
No, and it's just I'll tell you, I liked Coach Wolford as a person. I really did. He'll be a lifelong friend, but to see the level of like how they've elevated, they're in every game with a back. Last year, their third quarterback goes to the national championship. It's a whole different level.
They got 3 losses and barely by a touchdown.
They could easily be undefeated and be number 1 team in the country, but it's crazy how that. And
so now the objective is probably just to get into the postseason.
Yeah, because like I said, if you look at the coach, they only dropped to number 9 in the coaches poll in their poll, so it's like obviously everyone in the country sees it and respects them. So just get in.
So atmosphere, crowd, tailgate.
I'll tell you what.
What was it like?
It was one of the best I've seen. I wasn't in terms of like recent years.
Compared to the 90s.
Compared to the 90s, I'm sure it was packed
You're
everywhere.
Just a crumb cruncher.
Yeah, but of late, it was packed. It was everywhere. Not just the loges. You could see just maybe the top corners of the stadium weren't filled, but it was loud. The atmosphere was.
Was there an announced attendance? I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either, but someone said that it was more than what was at South Dakota State, which was big. So it kind of. I guess it would probably be even
Beautiful
bigger
weather.
if thing would have got the bye. If they would have played at 7 on the bye, but Ohio State also played at 7. And good thing, Nebraska.
But that had to be like a dream game. Beautiful weather.
Yeah.
Against North Dakota State, 5 out of 6 years, whatever, champions. And I'm sure they're flattered to play at Youngstown because that's the past. 91, 93, 94, 97. I'm sure that's a big deal.
Imagine,
they're putting their reputation against YSU's reputation.
Youngstown had to be the measuring stick for that division for the longest time, and now
now
it's North Dakota State, and you want to be there. But I'll tell you what, I've seen North Dakota State's probably, from what everyone says, that they're the best team in the country right now. To me, if they play 10 times, it might be split 5-5, and they're not as physically imposing as I've seen.
Well, maybe they'll play once and later in the playoffs.
That's all it takes.
What happens?
Yep.
Irish, Notre Dame, any good?
They were off last week. They got USC this week. This will be are they making their way back, or are they just the same old?
Where's it at? Is it in Notre Dame?
So.
What's your thoughts?
You know what? I go back and forth. I think, to me, I say, I thought Notre Dame's ceiling going in was like a 9-3. They were still a young team, and I think, so if they lose this game, it says to me, man, they still can go 9-3. They still could potentially go 10-2. But in the same sense, like what I've seen so far, they should win this game. Those guys are not. They got USC's banged up. They haven't had a bye week, but
can Notre Dame just kind of sneak into things here?
Listen. If there's anybody on the outside that has a chance, when you think about it, they got, and that's what this is what I don't like. Now people are starting to realize their kind of path to where they got USC, who's the number 11 team. They have Miami, I think, who's 7 or 8, which they're not the 7th or 8th best team yet. They still have Stanford, who's ranked. They play Wake Forest and NC State, who are hanging around.
NC State's a good
decent
club.
team, and they have Navy, who's ranked. So to me, take out my love Notre Dame. Whether I think they can hang around and beat those teams, if they go undefeated or if they win out, they should be in the playoff with that path. But now, do I think they're as good as Ohio State? Probably not. They're just that the guys they have, they're not there yet. Definitely not Alabama, and but
JT's putting up some crazy numbers, switching to the Buckeyes.
It's
unbelievable numbers.
I think he's the only guy he's the only guy that I cheer for against. For Ohio State. Cheer for of Ohio State. I can't stand you guys, but I think JT Barrett
gets bitter.
I think
sports fan you are.
I think he gets a raw deal, JT Barrett.
Well, I think he's getting.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna hear his name in the Heisman talks because the numbers just don't lie. 22 touchdowns and no interceptions over the last 5 games or something.
This is a big
craziness.
I think
against 2, it doesn't matter. It's still college football.
To me, that's what I said. You get on, you talk to Notre Dame people, and you hear the radio shows and everything, and people were kind of I mean, I've seen big progress as a Notre Dame fan this year so far. I mean, they rushed for 500 yards against Boston College. Yeah, it's Boston College, but it's been the number one rush team for the last 2 years. To rush for 500 yards against anybody in Division I football is impressive, let alone an ACC team, whether they're great or not, but they're good defensively. It's the same thing with you guys. You're at Nebraska. You know, it's not like it's...
It used to be a vaunted place to go play football.
Regardless of, whether they're at... I mean, they were in the game with Wisconsin until probably 8 minutes in the fourth quarter, and they pulled away. But to me,
little bye week and then bring on the Nits.
Yeah, you gotta hope.
Hopefully, we'll separate ourselves from the Nits too.
I mean, they got a tough one. You guys get the bye. They get.
It's reverse of last year, sort of.
And it's kind of the same. We have the same thing with. We had the bye going into USC.
Same as last
USC played Utah this past weekend, and they battled. So for you guys, you get to sit home and catch your breath, and they got to go play Michigan.
Sure.
So, and I don't think Michigan's as good as they were last year.
I think Penn State's their big challenge, and it's at home, so we'll see what happens.
I think Urban Meyer's only lost once or twice, coming on back to back.
Yeah. So we'll talk more in the last segment. We'll be back with more Yards After Contact from Kelly's Bar on Mahoney Avenue in Youngstown, Ohio. And welcome back to Kelly's Bar on Mahoney Avenue in Youngstown, Ohio. With me now, formerly known or currently known as Mr. Swartz. Always known.
I got my grave with that.
Because you got the name. It just carries on with
Gary
you.
House too. How's my brother? Nice to see you.
One of the great guys in this area. Done a lot for me with my cancer situation, especially in the very beginning. That's been I'm very grateful for everything you've done along with Ryan, who I tell him all the time. You were at this place here. It was crazy. Back in May. That's almost 5-6 months ago already.
But it was so beautiful to see that outpouring of love for you.
Unbelievable.
I mean, they just kept coming in droves and droves and droves to support Garrett. Everybody loves him. Everybody that was on this premises that day spoke glowingly of Garrett.
But, things happen in life, and you got to roll with it and move on. And one thing is certain, that sports is part of our lives.
Absolutely. We'll always be intertwined that way.
Yeah. Real quick, give us a rundown of your mainly earlier years when you were more involved with sports, but then tell us what you're doing now with Summit Radio.
Well,
just to catch up on
high school sports, evolved into college sports at Youngstown State. Very proud of the fact, first radio voice of the Mahoning Valley Scrappers back in 1999 with C.C. Sabathia, Victor Martinez, and then Ted Kubiak as the manager advanced to the New York Penn League Championship, where we lost 2-1 to Josh Hamilton and the Hudson Valley Renegades. But, man, that was quite a thrill. Nothing like the first season.
Josh Hamilton, the Reds and the troubled guy? Is that the one we were talking about?
Josh Hamilton that ended up becoming a major league star. I mean, he was coming up in the rookie leagues at that time, and he had a home run into the deep night that I could still see going, and it ended up costing us a championship in that first campaign.
That's crazy, because then he went on to some rough times, and he